Christine, and today we are discussing the third and final book in Cassandra Clare's Dark Artifices series, Queen of Air and Darkness. TDA is done. The wicked powers has been set up like no other. I can't believe we've reached the end. The last hours are coming. Honestly, this felt like less of an end and more of a middle stop. This is the least endy end book that Cassie has written thus far, in my opinion. I was expecting a finale and it was like, no, we're setting up 100 other things for the next series. Like the Mortal Instruments when we had the first 3 books and then we had a break. The wicked powers in my head is the second half of this. Usually with Cassie's finales, I'm extremely satisfied. But with this one, it ended and I was like, we're not done here! I'm not done over there! This is Julian and Emma's arc, but there's a lot of other people I care about a lot in this series, and their arcs are not done! And I am so excited for more, but I feel like, what's the timetable for the Wicked Powers? I don't even know. The last hours starts next year, so I can only imagine the Wicked Powers will be sometime in the next 10 years. Alec and Magnus's story starts next year. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about them. We're talking about Queen of Air and Darkness. Because I feel like I've been extremely teased thinking this was a finale. This is probably my least favorite finale book because it's not a finale! My favorite finale is still Clockwork Princess. I'm gonna start getting into things that are gonna be spoilers if you haven't read up to Lord of Shadows. I'm sorry if you didn't want to know that this is the least finale-y finale, but I mean, that's the least spoilery thing I could say right now. We're in the 3rd book in this series and like the millionth book in Cassie's Shadowhunter Chronicles, so if you clicked on this video, you gotta expect something. So much happened in this book. There was like a book in the middle of this book and you were just there. You were just in a new book and then you hopped back into this book and you were like, what just happened? I'm trying to gather my general thoughts. It's been like 12 hours since I finished and I'm having a hard time with it. So much happened that I loved and then so much happened that wasn't done. And I was like, excuse me. This series is excellent, so if you haven't read TDA yet, I definitely would, but you have to read all of Cassie's books before it, or else you're gonna be confused. Cassie's books are fantastic, the best ever, so why haven't you read them yet? Lord of Shadows is my favorite in the trilogy. That's what I can say without spoilers. They're bursting out of me. I apologize for the very mild spoilers that I've already spewed from my mouth. I can't help it. Every time I look at this bitch on the cover, I'm like, this bitch on the cover. So Queen of Air and Darkness gets an A- for me. What it comes down to, I think, is what I realized about myself when I was reading it. I care about everyone else more than I care about Julian and Emma. Like, Julian and Emma are fine. Julian, not my favorite character. I love Emma, but there's a lot of Julian. Emma's tied to him. So it's like, I'm excited for others to be the leads in the Wicked Powers. And I will not say who, obviously. I think a lot of you probably know by now, but I don't want to spoil you people who are just sticking around to watch, even though I told you to leave. Okay, seriously now, I'm gonna start getting into spoileries. Spoileries for people who have not read Queen of Air and Darkness, okay? So go ahead to Amazon, order the series, get reading, and then you can come discuss with us, and we're gonna have a grand old time. If you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. This is your final warning. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, non-spoilery people! Goodbye! So Queen of Air and Darkness, or Quad, starts right where we left off with Lord of Shadows. So immediately, 5 minutes into the book, I'm crying. Especially when we open the door and we see Izzy and Alec, and Izzy's just sobbing. Robert Lightwood is dead. Livy is dead. Julian's upset. He comes home, goes straight to Emma, and then they just they take a shower together. I'm like, guys, is this the best idea right now? His Parabati ruin starts burning like it's on fire, and he runs to Magnus and asks him for help. The Parabati curse is starting. Now, we've been waiting for this curse the entire time, and there's been so much anticipation about what it will be, what will happen to Parabati who fall in love. I was expecting them to be able to do magic. Okay, there is a moment, it's really cool, where Emma holds out her hand and Cortana thors right to her. Whoop! Magic! But it wasn't magic like I expected to come from the Parabati Bond arc. Now, I've realized that I don't care about Julian. I just don't. And I really wanted him to go so evil that he would never be coming back from it. We were going there, and I was excited. He goes to Magnus. Magnus is like, I can give you a stopgap, which can stop all your emotions. And I was like, wow, That sounds like a terrible idea. Let's do it. And not only is he cold and distant from Emma, but he's cold and distant from his poor family who is in such grief. And he's completely blind to Ty just going off and deciding to raise his sister from the dead. Can we talk about this plot line? Because immediately I was like, nope! You just watched Malcolm do it, and it was so bad. And then the girl he brought back was not cool. Not cool! She murdered him! Like, she's clearly not the same person he fell in love with. I'm really curious to know what Annabelle Blackthorne was like in her day-to-day when she was alive the first time. When we see her for a second in Unseelie Court, Mark and Julian growl at her because their hatred is so overpowering, and she's just like, I didn't mean to, it was an accident. We never got an explanation about that, and I really wish we did. I wanted to talk to her, like, sit down and explain to me how you didn't mean to. What happened up there? You got nervous and you decided to slay the Inquisitor and a 15-year-old girl. Why did you poof to the Unseelie King? And we didn't get that, and I just didn't realize we didn't get that till now, and I'm very sad. Like, I wanted to know her. We don't know her, and she's such a big villain in this book. Even though she's not very present, she is this overarching presence. Like, where's Annabelle? We hate her so much. Going back to Magnus and the stopgap with Julian. Magnus is still sick, so I was mad that Julian came to him at all. Maybe it was a good idea in the end, like Julian stopping his emotions, because the curse would have happened too soon and they wouldn't have necessarily been on a battlefield. And what if they were just in the house and they exploded into 2 towers of raging fire? It wouldn't have been good. I guess my overall idea here is that Julian irritates me. He irritated me going to Magnus when Magnus was sick. He irritated me asking Magnus to shut his emotions off when his siblings were grieving, even though it was for the greater good. And he irritated me being rude to Emma in Fairby. And then he irritated me being a slimy politician all the time without telling Emma what he was doing. Is that the same thing as the one before? And he irritated me by murdering Dane Larkspear. We just brushed by the fact that he murdered Dane Larkspear. That moment, I was like, oh, what the f***? Emma's trying to figure out how we can get Dane out of here without killing him, and then he just kills him. And that's one of the themes running through the book. Do you kill these people doing horrible things, or do you try to reform them, these young kids? I don't think we had to kill Dane, and he did. Emma shows Zara mercy, and Zara stabs her in the back after she doesn't kill her. Duh! We just kind of overlooked this with Julian, that he murdered somebody. He tells select truths. And I know he usually tells Emma the select truths that he's not telling people. And he does it to protect people. And like through the book, we really get a better view of Julian overall. Like all of a sudden you see that all the questionable moral decisions he's made in the past, like framing Ansel Nightshade and stuff, was because Ansel Nightshade was actually worse than we knew. But he irritates me! Whenever Julian's siblings are referenced to look like Julian, they are being manipulative or making very hard, morally gray decisions. When Ty figures out that he wants to con Hypatia Vex, he smiled sideways, and in that moment, despite the difference in coloring, he looked like Julian. When Fool Livy makes the decision to lock Cameron Ashdown in the Silent City, who does she look like? Julian. Poor Cameron gets dumped and led on by Emma. He gets sacrificed by his girlfriend Livy. He gets stabbed by his cousin. The kid can't catch a break. Horace Dearborn, Zara's delightful father, is elected the new Inquisitor. And Emma is forced to give up Cortana. Well, who you think you are taking her sword? Just because it broke the mortal sword doesn't mean you get her sword. It's not a trade-off. The Dearborn's new slogan that they've put on the wall to replace the tapestry of Alec during the Battle of Burin says, "Purity is strength. Strength is victory. Therefore, purity is victory?" What the f***? Purity leads to incest. Incest leads to disease. Disease leads to death. That's what you have on your wall, bitch. That's what you have on your wall. In the whole beginning of the book, I was just like, where the f*** are Jace and Clary? Turns out they're lost in Fairy. Jace and Clary were like my favorite characters in this book. Every time they were around, it was like, Jace and Clary are here and everything's amazing. Every time we saw from Jace's point of view, I was like, oh my god, I love you so much. I missed you. Every time Jace was in a scene, I was like, Jace, stay with us, please, we need you. The Blackthorn just kept making stupid decisions. You know what wouldn't have happened if Jace was around all the time? Ty raising Livy from the dead? Kit would have probably had more chances to talk to him and it would eventually have spit it out. When he didn't spit it out, I was like, Kit, you're killing me here, Kit. You're killing me. He's gonna put a rip in some universe and shit's gonna be bad, okay? And now it's gonna be bad. Now we've really set up for the Wicked Powers to be Ty and Kit, they have to come together again and love each other. When they first asked a warlock to help them, and then Ragnar showed up, I was like, oh, good, you're here to babysit this, because we know Ragnar is not going to let them actually raise the dead. When he gave them the list of supplies they needed, I was like, can you just not give them the real list? And then he read it out loud, and I was laughing, because it sounded so ridiculous. It was like, hop on one foot under the full moon at midnight with a sickle, slice the grass at a 45-degree angle. I was like, they're never going to get that one. That's way too complicated. But apparently, they found in the shadow market. What the fuck? I had a good laugh with Shade because I thought he was just setting him on a wild goose chase, but then he wasn't lying. Here's the official grocery list for bringing Livy back from the dead. Incense from the heart of a volcano. Chalk powdered from the bones of a murder victim. Available at the Shadowhunter Market, it's fine. Blood, hair, and bone of a person to be brought over. Myrrh! This next one's the one I was talking about. Myrrh, grown by fairies, harvested at midnight with a silver sickle. Apparently available in aisle 3. And an object from another world. This one was the one that tripped them up, and I didn't even see it coming. I was really excited about that letter from Livy to Ty. I thought it was gonna really make him see that he's gonna be okay. That backfired on me. But there were so many chances Kit had to say no. I was like, tell Drew. Tell her, and she'll be the bad guy. Oh, it was just so sad. Ty's whole journey in this book, I was like, no, 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 Ty, no. And Julian wasn't there for him. I just can't with Julian. I didn't really want Kit to leave the Blackthorns, but I really wanted him to live with Jem and Tessa. And Tessa's pregnant, and I'm just so excited and happy for them. And I'm so excited that they're definitely now gonna be in the Wicked Powers. Like, they're the parents. They're Kit's parents now, okay? They're Kit's parents. If it slips your mind, Kit is the first heir we've been talking about throughout the Dark Artifices series. His mom's mom was the daughter of the Unseelie King and the Seelie Queen. They had a kid to try to unite their courts. And when the kid was a girl, the Unseelie King didn't like it. But if you read the Ghost of the Shadowhunter Markets, there's another piece to this, like a sort of prophecy that when the first heir comes to power, Shadow will befall all of Fairy. Something to that effect. Like, he'll destroy all Fairy, basically. That's the impression I got, but it wasn't very clear. Auroraline, who was the actual first heir, Fae were trying to kill her because of this prophecy. So she escaped to the mortal world, and she ended up meeting the line from the Lost Herondale. They had a kid, and then that kid had a kid, Rosemary, who was Kit's mother, and Rosemary met Johnny Rook, also descendant of a Shadowhunter family that, like, left the Shadowhunterdom. I'm really curious as to what family that is. It's a new last name mystery. So Kit took on the name Herondale, but that's actually his mom's name. Are you following? Anyway, Kit is part super powerful fairy because they put everything into this kid. They wanted him to be the perfect king. Now we've got Kieran on the throne, and Kieran does not want to be king, and I don't want him to have to be king forever in his immortal life when he doesn't want to be king, even though he'd be a good king. Does this mean eventually Kit has to be the fairy king? I hope not, but I don't know. At the end of the book, Kit just vaporizes all the horses of the riders in the sky, and the riders just fall. He just shoots gold light that vaporizes them, and then he passes out. What does this mean? Does he have like unlimited weird powers, or is his power to shoot death rays from his hands? And I guess with the first heir, I know he's watered down like 2 generations, but the first heir, Kit, is supposed to inspire everyone to follow him. He couldn't inspire Ty to not raise his sister from the dead! Calm down, Christine. You're never gonna get through this book talk like this. I'm never gonna get through it. It's because Kit didn't try. He really didn't try to the last second, and then that last second, it was too late. Oh my god. The hot fairy threesome happened in this book, and I was so happy about it.